think the environment has been changed.
What we're saying is have a heart.
We've got to be able to regenerate our
There'll
economy.
be people who are kind, people who are cruel, but that's life. You can be bigoted about bigots. I'm fine with that.
Good evening and welcome to Talkabout. Tonight we look at cancer. The war against cancer was declared 4 decades ago. Since then, billions and billions of dollars have been spent in understanding the disease and looking for a cure. In Singapore, 14 people die from cancer every day. It is the #1 killer, claiming almost 1/3 of deaths by disease. But why are the numbers increasing? Is it because of better detection, lifestyle changes, or just that the disease is growing faster? The outlook is not all bleak. We are told that survival for some cancers are on the increase, and if we eat well and exercise, we can cut down the chances of getting the disease. To mark Breast Cancer Month, our panel will look at these issues tonight. With me are Dr. Edward Young, a Senior Consultant Radiation Oncologist at Gleneagles Hospital, Dr. David Tan, CEO of Biodyne Labs Group of Companies, a biopharmaceutical company hoping to improve the quality of life and overall well-being. Professor Boon Che Goh, a Senior Consultant at the National University Cancer Institute. Dr. Hui T.C. is a medical oncologist at Parkway Cancer Centre. Betty Koo Kingsley is author of Cancer Cured Naturally, self-published in 2007. Lo Yao Nguyen, a holistic medicine advocate. And 2 very special guests who are former breast cancer patients, Linda Chan and Tan Bibi. To kick off, let's ask the most fundamental question: what is cancer? Any of you can take it.
Cancer is a genetic disease where cells lose their control of self-regulation, and they express hallmarks of cancer, of which there are about 10 now currently.
Which are?
Well, the 10 include evasion of immune system, ability to self-propagate and proliferate, ability to produce new blood vessels called angiogenesis, ability to metastasize.
But Professor, you mentioned it's a genetic disease, but then there are people who say that it is caused by infection.
Well, there are some cancers that are certainly caused by infection, but they all behave the same way and express the same characteristics of cancer.
Okay, but more simply put, we heard that cancer is just an uncontrolled multiplication of the cells and the cells go crazy. Is that an acceptable definition for the ordinary person?
I would say that the cancer represents the part of the body that does not fulfill the function, has lost its function and has undergone dysregulation, such that it cannot perform its function anymore.
What are the classic symptoms of cancer? What is the manifestation when somebody has cancer?
I think it will depend on where your cancer is. Symptoms means how it is manifested. For example, if you have a tumor within the breast, it's going to manifest itself as a lump as it grows. Or if you have a tumor, let's say in the gut, a large colon or the rectum, then it's going to manifest itself when it begins to bleed or cause changes in bowel habits. Or if you have a lesion in the lung, it's going to irritate the lung, cause you to have some chronic cough. If it irritates a certain, the bronchus, you may have blood in your phlegm. And of course, as it leaks fluid in the lung, you get breathlessness. And of course, you can get patients who come to you with symptoms quite far from the original site, where they have the disease already metastasized or spread to the bones, for example. Very often patients will come and say, I've had this backache for the last 3 months, and everybody says it's just old age and all. And then I went for some x-rays, they said, there's some small changes, we'll do some scans, and then they find, oh gosh, you have cancer, it's spread. The original one is in the lung, we didn't see it in the beginning because it wasn't clear or nobody ever thought about it. So I think it depends on when you are diagnosed and what is the original site of the tumor. That's how they can manifest.
Okay, you're talking of different manifestations, but are we also agreed that cancer comes from a common cause?
No. It's multifactorial. You
So
have,
is it fair to assume, to use the word cancer for all these different diseases, or are we actually talking of many different diseases?
I think we need to define, we like to talk in terms of malignancies, which are what we understand as cancers, but there are also tumors which are benign. A benign tumor is not one which has all the characteristics of cancers which Professor Goh has described. It doesn't have the propensity of spread, for example, but it has the potential still to kill a person because of where it's located, the size it can grow up to. For example, certain brain tumors are considered benign. They're not in any way cancerous, but if they grow to a large enough size, they can cause enough problems for that particular person.
Requiring
Treatment, and not only treatment, but can cause death.
Okay, I want to take Professor Goh on point that the way he described cancer as a genetic disease. There is an American biologist, Paul Ewald, who says that today 15 to 20% of all cancer patients have cancer caused by infection, but by 2050, as many as 95% of all cancers would be proved to be caused by infection. Do you agree with this?
I think probably not. There are a large proportion of cancers that can be caused by infection. For example, gastric cancer is associated with a bacterial infection called Helicobacter pylori. Other causes could be liver cancer caused by hepatitis B infection, nasopharyngeal cancer associated with Epstein-Barr
Are the
virus.
others waiting to have the cause of infection identified?
Although the number of examples seem to increase, but I don't think that all cancers can be explained by infection alone.
Dr. Young?
Well, I think we are discovering, for example, cancer of the cervix, cancer of the head and neck, for example, oral cavity cancers, famous, Michael Douglas cancer, who had too much oral sex, HPV is now beginning to be, certain kinds of viruses may be linked. But I think by and large, it's not just an infection that causes cancer, but there's an interplay, as Professor Goh has said. Genetically, you must be prone to the cancer.
Okay.
99% of all us Chinese, if you do an EBV, it's going to be positive. Now, some of us manifest it in a different
What's an EBV?
way. EBV is Epstein-Barr virus. We all catch it, in school. Some sore throat, some kids have cough in your face, and you've got it. But it doesn't really impact us very significantly, except in some patients who are genetically prone, somehow or another, that can trigger off some changes in the nasopharynx, which eventually can result in cancer called nasopharyngeal cancer.
Okay.
But it's not universal.
All right. I'll move on to the other two doctors, then I want to move on to our guests who believe in alternative medicine to see whether they agree whether cancer is predisposition to cancer is genetically determined or whether it's caused by infection. Dr. C?
I think it's a combination. Basically, if we look at whether a cancer is caused by infection or a toxin such as smoking or chronic exposure to certain chemicals such as a benzene dye, both these can cause chronic inflammatory conditions that can lead to cancer when cells in the body are changed to mutate towards not being controlled by the general metabolism. So there's not just one cause, but we can quote 90-year-old human people who smoke all their lives and never get lung cancer. We can quote 12-year-olds who have never done anything wrong or eaten anything wrong getting skin cancer. So there is a certain proportion of cancer that is related to genetics. They are then exposed to the correct toxins or infections and cancer arises.
How about you, Dr. Tan?
Well, I think my colleagues have all mentioned what should be mentioned. I think for the common man on the street, I would rather say that there are several factors, and 30% is believed to be due to situations like taking wrong food. All right, so food is a very important factor here. Hereditary, of course, as what was mentioned, but 30% is supposed to be caused by wrong diet. The other 30% is by smoking, and another 15%, of course, hereditary, and another 25% is supposed to be by other causes. Other causes here refers to, of course, infection, as what was being pressed on, okay? And then there are other factors like pollution, UV rays, for example, also was mentioned just now, for skin cancer, all right? So these are the different sections which should be looked into.
Okay, so if I can just summarize it very quickly before I move on to the advocates of alternative medicine. We're talking of a genetic disposition as number one. Number two, carcinogens. Either you are exposed to the carcinogen as in smoking or in your diet. And number three, it would be due to disease.
Infection.
Infection,
Yes.
yeah, all right.
Can I
Causing
clarify
infection.
that when I mean cancer is a genetic disease, I don't mean predisposed by genetic inheritance of cancer predisposing genes. I mean that the cancer genome has, the genetics, regulation of the genetic control of the cancer cells have become abnormal compared to a normal cell. That's what is meant by genetic disease.
Okay, it is not that it's hereditary.
It's not. Only about 5%, as Dr. Tan has said.
Okay.